Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. It's in the description below. Email me directly, please, for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a model launched in 2013 and built in 777 pieces, 43 millimeters in carbon-diffused, super-hardened, tegmented steel. This is the Sinn 857 UTC TESTAF Lufthansa Cargo Limited Edition. It is a Lufthansa 777 Boeing cargo plane themed watch. Now the timepiece is substantial, but surprisingly thin. Though 43 millimeters in diameter and 200 meters water resistant, it's only about 11.9 millimeters thick as I measure it. It's 49.6 millimeters from lug to lug with a broad and contemporary 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now you can see this watch is remarkably substantial, but you throw it on the wrist and it wears thinner than a watch like this has any excuse to, as it'll fit underneath the cuff, and it's no thicker than a Rolex GMT, in spite of possessing all the Rolex's features and quite a few additional refinements. Easy to slide under a cuff, the timepiece is broad across the wrist but sufficiently compact that I could recommend it even if your wrist is as small as 14 centimeters circumference. You could see down the barrel, as I like to say, there's plenty of clearance on each side. Here's your over-the-top shot, and then you can see it will easily slide underneath my shirt sleeve. The strap is remarkable. As you can see, there's a lot of leather, and leather is stitched here atop leather with a contrasting orange stitch that beautifully matches the dial. It's thick, it's substantial. You don't feel like Sinn is shorting you the material. On the underside, you can see calfskin. On the top, you can see calfskin, and thickly bolstered with a character line as well as a stitched overlap. It looks and is of outstanding quality. A simple matching media blasted steel tegmented pin buckle, and you can see that the case itself features that same media blasted finish. Now the nice thing about refinishing media blast is if you ever do somehow scratch this watch, Sinn can refinish it provided you haven't gouged it deeply just by media blasting it again. It doesn't involve removing material. That said, this surface is between 1200 and 1500 Vickers, which is almost like stone. It's effectively as hard as ceramic, but without ceramic's vulnerability to fracture and cracking. Here you even have lovely tapered lugs blended into the caseband Calatrava style, more elegant than a utility watch has any right to be. These are incredibly scratch tolerant, I should mention, and you can see SUG, that is Sinn's case factory. They make their own cases. There is a copper sulfate capsule inserted into the caseband, and that caseband capsule removes any moisture that might intrude, but from the factory, the watch comes filled with inert nitrogen to push out impurities, moisture, and dust. So the watch is both purged at the point of manufacture and capable of actively dehumidifying its interior, and this little capsule can be replaced in time. The bezel is attached with screws, and you can see that. It is a bidirectional rotating, fully loomed timing bezel, also known as an aviator's bezel, and the captive construction means it's not snapped on and it can't be snapped off by accident. If you whack a door frame or take a hard impact to the bezel on a Rolex, an Omega, a tag, the bezel can pop off. Here, as with Breitling, the captive construction means the bezel must be dismantled. It cannot get removed by mechanical trauma. There's an anodized aluminum insert, and then we have a large luminescent pearl on the bezel. We'll look at the lume shot later. Screw down crown with a crown guard profile, and then the dial simple with orange on black and white on black instrument style calibration. You have a little 24-hour hand with a Lufthansa 777 cargo model, 3 hands, broadsword style minutes as well as hours, and then a counterweighted lancet style seconds hand. You can see the image of the 777 at the base of the dial, and there is a lovely monotone black date disc. Now, the nice thing about the ETA 28932, which here is used in top spec, which is second from the top and regulated in-house by Sinn, but these 28932 based dual times, they have a feature that I love where you can actually adjust the second time zone, and then you also still retain a quick set for the date. That's not something you'll find on most GMTs, where you have to move the local hour hand in order to adjust the date. Of course, pull the crown out, you get stop seconds or hacking. The watch is also remarkably temperature tolerant, as it is resilient against temperatures as low as negative 45 degrees Celsius and as high as positive 80 degrees Celsius. All you need to know is either way you're dead, but the watch is still running. Turn it over, and you could see that there is a TESTAF certification here. Let's talk about the basic movement again. Bidirectional winding, stop seconds, dual time, 1 in 24-hour format, 1 in a 12-hour format. It has a 4 hertz beat rate, or 8 beats per second, 42-hour power reserve, and it is regulated in-house by Sinn. It's based on an ETA 2892, which is itself modified to create the movement in here, which is the 2893. Now, it is a TESTAF watch. This is a pilot's watch standard that was developed between Sinn and a domestic university within Germany that later formed the basis for Germany's own engineering standard for pilot's watches. So while it was co-developed by Sinn, it's not the fox guarding the hens, so to speak. It is now an objective standard to which any brand can submit its watches for approval. This is a timepiece that gives you everything you could want in terms of original technologies, capability, universal sizing, a great brand, and durability. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Back with the 857 by night, putting Panerai and Bell & Ross to shame here.